KatrinasCreations Knitting Podcast. This is episode 54. It's actually the same number that I am. So I am 54 until the end of this month. The end of this month, I'm a turkey baby. I was born on Thanksgiving. So the end of this month, I will turn 55, and I can officially order from the 55 and older menu. Although, secretly, I've been ordering off of that for years. I figure with the gray hair, I've earned it. Anyway, we have a lot of new subscribers. So if you are new to this podcast, welcome to our knitting group. And if you are a returning viewer, thank you for sticking with me. If you haven't subscribed, click the little red subscribe button down below. And if you click on the little bell, the little symbol, kind of looks like a bell, that will let you know by notification. It will have like a little pop-up window that will tell you anytime I post something. So if you want to be alerted or warned that a new podcast has come up or whatever that I posted, you can do that. You just click on the little bell and it will let you know. So we are officially up to 320 subscribers. So that is like really exciting to me to know that many people have actually watched me. I'm not quite sure why, but I do appreciate it. And I'm having a lot of fun over on Instagram. I just opened an Instagram account a couple weeks ago. And to get hold of me or to follow me on Instagram, it is Katrina Knits. And I'll put that down below. It's the same for my Facebook page. And I have people who are posting pictures over there as well as just chatting back and forth on Instagram. And I do try to post on there at least a couple times a week, showing what I'm doing or what I'm knitting or where I'm knitting it at. So, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun on Instagram and Facebook. So you can find me there. You can also find me on Ravelry as KatrinasCreations, all one word. And again, I'll put that down below in the down bar. So, on with our weekly stuff. I have a couple administrative things to say. We have had 235 or 234 downloads of the Basic Stitches cowl. So if you downloaded that, if you make that pattern, don't forget to post it in your projects page or to post it in our Ravelry group. I actually opened a thread on the Ravelry group so you can post pictures there so we can all take looks at what you're doing. So I've checked out one so far, and I'll talk about that later on. I'm having a new segment called Show and Tell, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later on. Our stitch marker winner from last week has not come forward so far. Her name is Stacy Brister. So she has one more week. If I don't hear from her by November 17th, then on the next podcast, I will draw for another winner. So those of you who entered that like a month ago, your odds are looking better all the time because so far the second winner hasn't come forward either. So stay tuned. If you haven't won, you might by process of elimination at this point. But anyway, Stacy has one more week to try to come forward, and you can, Stacy, if you do see this, you can contact me by, you can private message me on YouTube, or you can send me a message in Ravelry and let me know what your address is, and I will get those stitch markers out to you right away. I'm only going to do it one more week because I would like whoever wins to have these stitch markers for Christmas, since they are Christmassy looking stitch markers. So, on to finished objects. We will now get into our knitting stuff. I have a couple of finished objects. One is not knitting related. And you guys are going to laugh because, like, I did a little sewing this week. Don't get overly excited. I made air conditioner covers out of a cargo blanket or packing blanket. So that was my sewing this week. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't too exciting. So, I do have a knitting finished object. And that is, everything's falling on the floor as normal. And now I've got, look at this, I've got Velcro stuck to the cowl. The air conditioner cover is being stuck to the window frame by Velcro. And the Velcro is now stuck to my cowl. Okay, on with the show. This is knit from, it's called Ellen Cooper's Yarn Sonnets. That's the name of the yarn. This is the Basic Stitches cowl. This is a modified version because the pattern calls for 200, at least 200 yards, and this yarn I only had 150 yards of, so it's a little modified. I left out the garter stitch section and the stockinette section. This is how much I had left, so it was not plain yarn chicken, but I didn't want to push it. Oh look, it's like fishing. I got another Velcro. Anyway, that's what I've got left out of 150 yards. And here is what the cowl looks like. And the colors are showing up very well. This is going to be kind of Christmassy. And as you can see, it's got lots and lots of sparkles. And the interesting thing with this yarn, I will say it's not real soft. It's not horrible. It's not going to be like scratchy against me, but it's not real soft. It is a mix of 79% wool, 18% nylon, and 3% metal. Now, a lot of times when you have sparkly stuff in your yarn, it's kind of randomly sparkly. This, and I don't know if this is going to show or not. Let me put my hand behind it. You can see it if I can get it to stop swinging. There. It's actually part of the ply. This is a 3-ply yarn, and it looks like 1 ply of it is the wool, 1 ply is like a nylon, and 1 ply is the sparkle. So there you can kind of see it. So that's why it looks really very, it's very organized. And there's more Velcro. They just want to get in the picture, I guess. But anyway, that's why the sparkle is so extensive, and how it looks, it doesn't look random. It looks pretty, it's organized sparkle, I guess. So, and the sparkle, it looks kind of gold, but it's actually a green. So, I can't get it to pick up to look. It definitely looks gold in the picture, but it's a goldish green. In some lights it looks gold, but when you really look at it close, it's a green. So this is going to be worn at Christmas time. And like I said, you can see I did the seed stitch at the top. I kind of changed the order of the stitches with this. So it's the seed stitch at the top, and then the yarn overs, and then the cables, and then it goes back to the yarn overs and the seed stitch. Because I had to have something solid for the base. So since I took off the stockinette and the garter stitch. So there it is. So that is my finished object for my cowl this week. And let me show you the label. Like I said, it's called Ellen Cooper's Yarn Sonnets. Let's see if I can get this to pick up a little bit better. And it's hand-dyed yarn. The base that it's on is called Angelina, and the color is called Cool Rooster. And it's like, at first I thought, how did they get rooster out of that? It looks like Christmas to me. But you know the fancy roosters that you see pictures of that have the red and the blue and the greens in them? Now you can kind of see the Cool Rooster. Yeah. So I would have called it Sparkly Rooster. But anyway, that was one of the yarns that I got on my vacation. I actually got that one at Mystic River Yarns in Connecticut, and this is a local dyer in Connecticut. She is located in Sprague, Connecticut, and her name again is Ellen Cooper. So that is my finished object. Now I will go to my works in progress. I have my design shawl. I'm on the 4th color. And I remembered this week to actually finish the row before I went to show it to you so I could open the shawl up all the way. Except I can't quite open it up all the way because it'll fall off the needles. This is the section, you can see my stitch marker right here. So I've done these yarn overs this week. It has a couple more rows of yarn overs for the eyelet lace, and then it's going to go into another pattern. And there's the other lace. So there it is, and it will be held sideways like this when it's done. So hold it back a little bit here so you can see it. So, and I am running a contest with this yarn, or with this shawl. It has not been named yet. If you would like to suggest a name for it, just leave a comment down below with what your suggestion is. And when it comes time to name the shawl, if I pick your name, you'll get a free copy of the pattern. So, and don't necessarily base it on the color, because base it more on the design. Okay? That way, because I might make a second one in a different color. I don't know. So anyway, you are more than welcome to enter that. Then I've been working on my sweater that I've been working on forever. I feel like I do 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I had one whole sleeve done this week, and then I tried it on, and I didn't like it because the sleeves, they were too big around. They were kind of like a bell sleeve that was hanging down too far, and I don't like sleeves. I don't mind a sleeve hanging down like a little bit, like in here, but I don't want it hanging all the way down to here because I'm going to get it caught on stuff. It's just guaranteed. I'm not that coordinated. So let me show you what I did. Since last week, I have finished. The sides are done. Both sides of the sweater have been seamed. I've put the button bands on. Let's see if I can get this up here so you can see it. There you go. Well, it's not level right now, but there it is. The button bands are on. These sides are even. I'm just holding them uneven. So these are the button bands here. And this is how far I've gotten with re-knitting the sleeve for the second time. So I don't want to say too much because it is a pattern that came out of a book, but I shortened the depth of the by about 15 stitches. So I just sewed the side seam up here a little bit and shortened the circumference I was starting with. And my decreases, it called for 2 decreases every 6 rows. I'm changing it to every 4 rows because I have short little arms. I'm a short person, so I don't want something hanging off the ends of my hands. So that's how far I am with the re-knit. And the other sleeve I haven't started yet. Now with the button band, I decided that I wanted to make buttons to go with it. So I made some Dorset buttons. Yeah, I know. It's later at night, so I'm a little on the slap happy side. I've sat in a meeting all day long. So these are my 3 buttons, called Dorset buttons. And the sweater doesn't have buttons that go all the way down. It just has 3 buttons at the top, like at the bodice area. So just in that colored section, like right here, the buttons are just here, here, and here. So these are going to be the buttons for them. And if you are new to the channel or you missed the tutorial, I will post a link. If you follow the little letter I, if you click on that, it will take you to a link. I did a tutorial on how to make Dorset buttons. They were an industry in England in the 17 and 1800s. And so there's a tutorial on how to make them. Every time I looked at these sitting on my table where I knit, they reminded me of thumbprint cookies. I don't know if you remember those from, I remember them from when I was a kid. You know, they're kind of like, if you don't know what thumbprint cookies, they're cookies that are kind of tan colored. I don't even remember what's in them, but the center of them, you press your thumb in and then you put a little bit of icing in the center. And I remember we had red and green because my mother made them at Christmas time. So every time I looked down and saw these, I was thinking thumbprint cookies. So I made some Dorset thumbprint cookies for my sweater. So that was my works in progress. I did not work on my Drachenfels shawl or on the Spice Market at all this week. I didn't end up going to knit night. I intended to, and then it was cold and rainy, and I didn't feel like I'd been gone during the day, and I just wanted to go take a nice hot soak in the tub. So that's what I did. I stayed home and got in my pajamas early and just relaxed and knitted. So, yeah, I didn't work on it at all. I did work on something else, and if you looked at the title of this episode, Frogging My Fade. If you remember my Find Your Fade that I made last spring, I pulled it out to wear it to church on Sunday because I thought, oh, I'll put it on. It would look really nice. No, not really. I love the colors of my fade. And I will insert some pictures. I love the colors of my fade, but there's just no real good way to wear it. It is, my particular fade came out being 9 feet long. So when I wrap it around my shoulders, it's like I just don't know what to do with it. It's so massive. If I put it over my shoulders, it hangs around my shoulders and still touches the floor in the front. And I'll insert a picture of me. And I look like Ursula the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid. Yeah, you'll see it right here. And then there's wrapping it around my neck, which I also tried. I look like a sparkly turquoise mummy. Yeah, there I am. Equally not attractive. So needless to say, I did not end up wearing that to church. I could wrap it around me 3 times. So short of looking like a mummy, I really didn't want to do that. So my decision was I'm going to rip it all out. I know, all that work. It took me months to make. But I'm ripping it all out. I'm actually on the 4th color rip. I've been ripping it out for the last 2 days. I'm down to the 4th color. I'm going to use those same colors again because I really do like them together, but I'm going to rip them all down and make something smaller that fades into it, kind of like a small scale Find Your Fade, but maybe a little bit different design. I'm just going to kind of come up with it on my own, I think. But I am using the same colors, but making it on a scale that I can actually wear it and get some use out of it. And as much yarn as I've got in this thing, I should have enough left over that I could actually make a second shawl, which might be a gift to somebody. Since I had to buy a lot to be able to make that to begin with, somebody else might as well enjoy it, so I might make 2. So we'll see what I've got left when I finish. I had toyed with the idea of making a sweater and doing it like the So Faded sweater or something like that. But the yarn that I did my fade in is in cotton. And cotton doesn't always wash real good. Sometimes when you wash it, the vibrancy goes out. The dishcloths I made a while back, after 1 or 2 washings, they look washed out. No pun intended there, but they just look washed out and dingy. So I don't want to spend that much time on a sweater and potentially have that happen to it because it is all cotton and some of it's bamboo. So instead, like I said, I'm going to make it into something that wouldn't get washed all that often. And so that's going to be just a smaller scale shawl. You know, hopefully I'll have it done so I can use it in the spring sometime because it is more spring type of colors. So that is my plan with my fade, and I thought I would show you what it looks like right now as I've got it mostly ripped out. This is color number 4. And this is what I've got left at this point. Like I said, what I've got left is almost the size of a full-sized shawl. So, yeah, and it has sparklies in it too. This was Cascade Sunseeker. And I had it in this color, this color. This has sparkles in it that are also kind of they're gold sparkles. This one has green sparkles. And the one that I ripped out is this color, which I really, really like. This was my favorite. And it has sparkles that are kind of a purpley They're not showing up, but they're kind of a purpley color. So, and then I have two other colors I've already taken out that were this light blue color and like a seafoam green. And those are sitting downstairs. I didn't bring them up with me. So I am in the middle of frogging it out. And if you don't know what frogging means, so many times we just assume people know what tinking or frogging is. So I'll just explain really quick in case you aren't familiar. When you tink something back, it's the word knit backwards. So if you're ripping something out, you're tinking it. In other words, you're unknitting it. And frogging comes from the fact that when you are ripping it out, and frogs go rip it, rip it, rip it, rip it. So that's where the two terms come from. So if you hear people say tinking or frogging, that's what they're talking about. They're ripping their work out. So now we are on to acquisitions. And I do have some. I have, let me pull them off of here. I'm getting ready for our sock along that we are going to have in January. So first off, I'm pulled some things out of my stash that I'm going to make socks with. Either this, which is it's not showing up there. There you can see it. It's kind of a celery green color. And this is a 75% wool, 25% nylon. It's an Araucania yarn that comes out of Peru. So this is one possibility. The other one, this is on the round. I got this at Love to Knit, which is one, or no, I didn't. I take it back. Love to Knit sells this, but I got this online last year after hearing them talk about it. It's a discontinued colorway. It's a 75-25 also. It is a sock yarn. I bought it and I was thinking originally that it would look, because of the yellows, that I could put it with my design shawl. But as you can see, it's not the same yellow at all, and it really clashes. To be honest, I don't know what I was thinking when I bought this. See these twinkle, what they call deconstructed twinkle? See if the green reminds me of mildew. I mean, it's kind of it's a fluorescent, not fluorescent, but it's a bright yellow right in here, kind of yellowish gold, which is not going to go with the shawl that I have at all. But these sparkly, or not sparkle, these sprinkles that they've got in here are green. There is some red in there, but they're mostly green. Think moldy mildew. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe it will knit up and look really good. I could be totally wrong. It's just, when I look back at it, if I had thought about it, I really probably would not have gotten this, just because I think it's kind of strange looking with these green speckles in it. But like I said, I could be pleasantly surprised. So this might turn into my sock, or this. I'm not sure which one at this point. But that's the yarn, and this came out of my stash. It's stuff I've had for about 2 years now. So they're things I got, yeah, about 2 years ago. So those are my possibilities for my sock along, and we're, like I said, we're going to start that in January. And what will happen is I'm going to pick out 2 patterns and let you guys pick which one you think we should do. They're going to be free patterns on Ravelry. One will be fairly plain, one might have a design in it. And then I'll announce what kind of supplies we need. And I will do this by the end of November, so it'll give you all of December to get the parts, the supplies that you need to make these. And we're going to knit the socks together. Each week I'll do a section of the sock and show you how to do it. And then we will work on that together during the week. And I'm going to open up threads on Ravelry so we can post pictures back and forth to each other of our progress and how things are looking and all that kind of thing, so we can share our work. And so by the time we finish, we will have a knitted sock. So that is my plan. Now the other thing, the thing that I did buy this week is, when I was in the middle, before I started looking in my own stash to see if I had some sock yarn, because I was surprised that I had the sock yarn that I did, because sock yarn is not something I normally buy. I tend to buy fingering weight. and I tend to buy like all wool, so I was kind of surprised when I looked in through my stash and found out I actually did have some sock yarn. So I bought 3 of these skeins, and this is like an oatmeal color. It is a Highland Superwash Sock Twist. It's called Taupe Heather. It is Cloudborne Fibers by Craftsy. There are 178 yards in each skein. So I'm going to make leg warmers out of this. I wear dresses all the time, and in the wintertime my legs get cold, and I have fat legs. So knee socks all the way up don't really fit all that well. And so I thought, well, what if I make some leg warmers that I can put over top of my socks to keep my legs warm? So I got some in this, and then I got 3, because it's going to take about 3 skeins to make leg warmers based on the patterns I looked at. And this is in charcoal, and this colorway, this is the same, it's just called Charcoal Heather. So I have tan and I have charcoal, so I will have 2 sets of leg warmers. And I got these off of Craftsy, and I don't know if you don't subscribe to Craftsy, if you aren't like a member of theirs or whatever, you might go over and check out their website right now, because they are running some really good sales. I think I paid $3.50 for each skein of that. It was pretty cheap. And right now, if you live in the US, they're offering free shipping between now and the end of December. And the coupon code to get the free shipping is the word holidays, like all capital letters. I'll put it down here. So I didn't pay any shipping for it, and it was on sale for $3.50 a skein. So I might go back and do a little bit more if I find that these are going to knit nicely, and the yarn is really soft, and it is I like it. So I'm thinking it's going to knit up nice. So I might go back and get some blue, because I tend to wear things that would go with either charcoal or tan colors or blue for the most part, or at least colors that would go with those. So, and speaking of what I'm wearing, this is the Bendy Arrow by Charlotte Bory. I made this last spring. I cannot remember what the gray is. The pink is actually Frolicking Feet. I think it's Frolicking Feet by 100 Ravens. And it is yarn that I got last year on vacation. And it's kind of, it is called, what is the name of this? I'm trying to remember. It's something with barn roof. Barn door, barn roof, something like that. I wouldn't have called it that because it's definitely kind of a dusty pink color. So it's dusty pink and gray. And here is Bendy Arrow. And it's a small shawl. It's long enough though that it does comfortably wrap around your shoulders. And it was very neat to knit. I enjoyed it, and I really like this edging on it. It has a I-cord edging, so it's rounded on both sides. It's really nice. If you do make this, there's only one recommendation I would say though. When you start knitting it, you start from this end and work your way up, and both sides look identical, with the exception of where these little increases are, which create the yarn overs. I had to restart this, I think, 2 or 3 times because I kept losing track of what was the front and which was the back, because you're doing this all in garter stitch. So the 3rd time was the charm, and I realized stick a progress keeper on the right side, and then it works out. So yeah, if you do make this, just make sure you stick a progress keeper on the right side until you get the pattern established enough to know where you're going with it. So, and like I said, this is it's a fairly small, it's a shallow shawl. It's only maybe 1 foot to 15 inches wide or deep, but it sits nicely on my shoulders with plenty to fall around the edges. Let me stand up a little bit, you can see it. Pick up some here. There you go. So you can see it falls pretty nicely this way. So it's a nice sized shawl, and it's a good shoulder warmer, which I needed in my meeting today. Oh, and there is another work in progress I forgot to show you all. Where did it go? I have everything piled on my bed over here, and it's gotten buried. Here it is. Okay, sorry about that. I had to edit it out. It was all tangled up, and you couldn't see what I was going to even show you because it was a tangled up mess. I've had lots of meetings this week. This is my car knitting because it's kind of mindless, and because it's basically a basket weave type of pattern. And it is a free pattern available on the Katia website. Don't remember the name of it. I don't even know if it has a name, but it's a poncho. It's made with the Katia paint yarn, and here is where it starts, and then it goes to this lighter charcoal, and then it goes through several shades of gold, and then it's in an oatmeal color, and now it's in kind of a dusty, rusty color. And here is the remainder of the first skein. That's what I've got. So it's going to go back out to a lighter color, and then it finishes in this kind of charcoal color. There you can see all three colors. So you knit one side of the poncho by using, oh look, I'm picking up more Velcro. If the air conditioning units stick as well to the Velcro as all of my yarn is tonight, those things aren't coming off till spring. So anyway, here it is, and it goes sideways like this. So the striping of it goes sideways. And then you just knit the other one, and that's the back. You can see where I was last week. I was right here. And let me show you on this side, though, because I like this side better. So my progress keeper is right here. So I've gone through almost all of the tan and up into the rust color. And I have another meeting on Monday, so more knitting for me. But yeah, so I've been having a lot of meetings at work lately. So, and I'm one of those people that if I can't sit still, if I have to sit still and not do anything in a meeting, I twiddle my fingers. I get, I fidget. You know, the fidget spinners the kids have? Knitting is my fidget spinner. It keeps me from, like, doodling all over my papers and everything else. So, anyway, I'm going to end with a new segment called Show and Tell. And what I'm going to do is I am going to post some pictures from you guys that you have sent or put out on the media so that we can all see it. So Jocelyn posted, she's making the Basic Stitches cowl, and she called it Autumn cowl. I think that's what she called it. But anyway, hers is done in kind of a russet color, or like a burnt orange russet color. It's really pretty, and I think mine are all in variegated yarns, but I really think the solid color, which is what she's doing it in, shows the picture, or shows the pattern up much better, where mine looks almost a little too busy. So if I can, I will post a picture of hers here. And then I was talking with Beverly, and Beverly crochets, and she sent me some pictures of a bedspread, or I think it's a bedspread. I don't think it's an Afghan, but I guess you could use it for either. I had to do a double take when I looked at it because I thought she was showing me a picture of a quilt. It looked just like, I mean, it's laying on a bed, and I'm going to put, there's 3 pictures. I'm going to put the pictures in here. As you'll see in those pictures, it looks literally like a a quilt. It looks like it has like flowers in the middle and stuff. And it wasn't until I looked closer at the edging that I could see that it actually was crocheted. And I think she said there's like 300 granny squares in it to make. So that's a lot of work there, Beverly. Anyway, it looked great. And so I asked her, I said, can I share that with everybody? And she gave me the okay. So, yeah, I was quite impressed. I can crochet granny squares, but I don't know that I'd be up for doing 300 of them. So anyway, but hers really looks good. So, I guess that is it for this week. There will hopefully be one post coming up, another short little video later this week. My knit crate box is due in at any time. I kept hoping it would be here for today's podcast, but it hasn't arrived yet. So when it does, I will open it in front of you guys. So just be watching for it for the November box. And this is that new subscription that I started getting. The first one last month I was real happy with. It was that gray and purple yarn. So I know it's going to be 2 skeins of yarn, but I don't know what it's going to look like. So you guys and I will open it together and check it out. So be watching for that well, I wouldn't even call it a podcast. It's like 5 minutes, but be watching for it later this week whenever it comes in. So until next week, I will see you guys. And like I said, check out Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't subscribed, click the little red button. And otherwise, I'll see you all next week. Thanks again. Bye, guys.